evening, everyone. I would like to welcome all Toastmasters and guests to today's meeting. I am Toastmaster Varun, the Sergeant at Arms of the club. Some things to keep in mind before we start today's meeting. Please keep your phones on silent and keep your mics turned off so we don't distract the speaker. Secondly, do not bring topics of sex, religion, or politics into the conversation. I would like to start off the meeting by reading the mission statement of Toastmasters Club, which is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication as well as leadership skills, which results in greater self-confidence and personal growth. This theme for today's meeting is Let's Celebrate. And for the celebrations to begin, I'd like to welcome the president of Vasco Toastmasters, Toastmaster Anthony Gomes.
Thank you. Thank you, Sergeant at Arms, Toastmaster Varun. And yes, greetings to fellow Toastmasters and guests who are with us. A warm welcome to the 9th meeting of Vasco Toastmasters Club. Now, Toastmasters Club is a platform wherein you will find people Thank you, Ashley. Okay. So yes, Toastmasters is a platform wherein you have fun like this. Okay. We have goof up like this and we have a lot of fun because it is a place which builds up our confidence to do this and to take this in a good spirit. Okay. It builds up communicators and leaders. Vasco Toastmasters Club is a very young club because we are still at the 9th meeting and most of the Toastmasters are pretty young as well. However, at the onset of this meeting, I would like to announce to all of you that during the Division W contest that we had a week back or so, Vasco Toastmasters Club was given an award, which was about We Rise by Lifting Others. Now, this award was thanks to all the members who had supported the other clubs with the contest and playing roles there. So good job to you guys. Please, a round of applause for the club and for all the members. Thank you. Yes. And now let's continue with the celebration because we've just celebrated an award that we have had. I would also like to celebrate your presence with us. Along with that, we have some guests. Now, we have a guest who is not a Toastmaster, but who is very keen on knowing what Toastmasters is all about. And hence, may I request our guest today, Mr. Satish Kumbar, to maybe introduce himself in a line or two. And if you could please unmute and put your video on. Mr. Satish Kumar, hello. Okay, I assume there are some technical glitches, and even if there are not, like I said, I'm assuming, so there's a thing. I would also like to welcome the guest Toastmasters who are with us. And to name, we have a guest Toastmaster, Toastmaster Victoria. We also have Toastmaster Aniket. We have Toastmaster Runa, and also Toastmaster Ashley Lobo. So a warm welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
And now, to take our meeting ahead, we have with us a Toastmaster. Now listen to this carefully. He is a Toastmaster before he joined Toastmasters. Okay? He is a computer teacher by profession, but he hosts weddings, events, and mind you, all types of celebrations. He is my mentee. And he tells me, Anthony, every time you need a compliment, please raise your hand. And I will do that very often, every time we have a conversation. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Ashley Fernandez.
Thank you, Toastmaster Anthony. I was actually waiting to listen to the clap of everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As I was driving to work, up there on the billboard, I read, "Moments of today will be memories of tomorrow." In that case, one must not just live life, but celebrated. Now, in order to start celebrating, I wanted to know what is the meaning of the word celebration. So I asked Aunt Wikipedia, and she replied by saying, celebration is a social gathering in honor of someone. Now, most of us celebrate our birthdays, wedding anniversaries, our promotions, and other joyous occasions, which we can't put a tag on. These are occasions which bring a smile on our face. Generally speaking, every celebration has got two C's, I would say. Now, for this one, if you could all turn on your cameras, I'm going to show you something, and I want to see your reaction when you see that. And here we go.
Temptations.
Well, everyone had a smile on your face, and that is exactly what I was looking at. A cake, by the way, is always welcomed with a smile. Nobody frowns at a cake. That's the first C. And the second C of a celebration is colors. And that was the theme that we kept for this one, you and me, all in colors. Now, in the past year, it has been a little hard on us. There was very little that we could celebrate. So, how about celebrating little aspects of life? I'll give you some examples. How about celebrating buying a new pair of jeans? Or maybe celebrating when you gift yourself a new laptop? Or simply said, when you just buy a new sanitizer or a new mask, let's celebrate that. Fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, it's my privilege and pleasure to welcome you all at Vasco Toastmasters Club. For the benefit of our guests, I would like to explain the structure of our meeting. We would call it a celebration today. The first part of our meeting is called the prepared speech round. It's like the snacks that are served at the party, wherein members deliver their speeches based on their projects and parts. The second part of our session is called the table topics round. Now, this is like the dinner table that you see at a party. There are many topics you can just select and start speaking on it. Our guests are all welcome for this buffet of ours. And finally, the third part is the evaluation round, which is like the dessert, in which all the prepared speeches will be evaluated and all the other aspects of our sessions also. As the Toastmaster of the day, I must introduce my role bearers who are going to assist me in the celebration tonight. Every celebration has a cake, candles, and party poppers. To keep a track of time spent by all our speakers, we have Toastmaster Aliro Wallace, whose idea about celebration is to take his beloved family to a villa where there is a poolside, to have as much as food as he can, and to have some foot tapping music. Help me welcome Toastmaster Aliro. Let's put our hands together for him.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and the TA body. As a timer for today's meeting, I will be capping all the speeches by the Toastmasters, and I will be giving out my report in the end. So I will use the green screen, yellow screen, and red screen for the speeches. Let me show you. Okay. So for the prepared speeches, we will be having 5 to 7 minutes. So I will be flashing the green screen at 5 minutes, the yellow screen at 6 minutes, and the red screen at 7 minutes. And we'll be having the table topics where I will be flashing the green screen at 1 minute, the yellow screen at 1 minute and 30 seconds, and the red screen at 2 minutes. Then we will be having the education session, which will be around 20 to 25 minutes. So I will be flashing the green screen at 20 minutes, the yellow screen at 23 minutes, and the red screen at 25 minutes. Finally, we will be having the evaluation, which will be around 2 to 3 minutes. The green screen will be flashed at 2 minutes. The yellow screen will be flashed at 2 minutes 30 seconds, and the red screen will be flashed at 3 minutes. Every speaker will be provided a grace period of 30 seconds after the red screen has been flashed. At the end of the meeting or event, I will be delivering my report. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lero. And our next role player for this evening is to track the good and not so good use of grammar. We have our grammarian. Now, to tell you something about our grammarian, he fell in love in the country France. It was a decision for life that he made there, and he is still faithful with it. I'm talking about the French language that he chose from there. He still teaches that for a living. I can confidently say this, that Toastmaster Anthony selflessly celebrates the success of his students and mentees. I am one of them. So help me welcome Toastmaster Anthony.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Ashley, for those kind words. You said it exactly the way I told you to. Okay. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, my role as a grammarian is to see the good usage of a language. Now, just like a celebration has a cake which is layered, a good language or a delivery of a good language is layered with vocabulary, delivery, and the other and the other elements that bring into uniting the delivery or the content or making a communication successful. So my role today is to look into the good usage, to note down the good usage and the challenges that the speakers face throughout the meeting with the usage that was incorrect or not so right. Another role that I have is to introduce the word of the day. Now, this is one thing I do in my day-to-day life without being asked to, but now here I have to. The word of the day for today is exuberant. Exuberant. This is an adjective, which means full of energy, excitement, and cheerful. Now, some examples to this word are the crowd at Vasco Toastmasters meeting, the ninth meeting, was exuberant, or he was exuberant throughout the session. I hope this is a quality that you will take back along with the word of the day, and you will make it a part of your repository. Towards the end of the meeting, when I'm called upon, I shall be giving my report. Thank you, and over to you, Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Ashley.
Thank you, Toastmaster Anthony. And I'm sure if people in this club are not yet charged up, listening to you, they will be exuberant. Now, our next role player for this evening is to keep track of the uhs, the ums in the meeting. We have the R counter, whose idea about an ideal celebration is that he would love to celebrate with his family and the loved ones who are very, very close to his heart. Help me welcome Toastmaster Gopal, our counter. Let's put our hands together for him.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ashley. Good evening to fellow Toastmasters and guests. So let's imagine a good celebration. Let's move the time machine by exactly 7 months and 5 days. What's so special? 7 months and 5 days. It's going to be 2021, July 9th. It's the birthday of Toastmaster Gopal. Now, Toastmaster Gopal want to have a good celebration on his birthday. So he has thrown a big party to all the Toastmasters of Vasco Club. And not to forget, we have COVID vaccine. And as a special privilege, all the Toastmasters of Vasco have been given the vaccine, first shot. So we are all immune from COVID. Now the party is wound up and we have a nice DJ playing all around and also good food. And the venue is well decorated. Suddenly, music stopped because of there is some technical glitch in the audio system. Music stopped, and also there were several interruptions because of power failure. It's a great party. Toastmaster Gopal spent a lot of money, but unfortunately, when you go back after attending this party, what reminds you? The good thing what happened are these technical glitches. In a similar way, when we deliver our speeches in the Toastmaster Club or even at outside, there are some repetitive words or fillers. Example, ah, so, you know, these are the filler words which spoil the flavor of our speech. So, as a counter, today I am going to observe the usage of these filler words, and at the end of the session, I'll summarize when I called upon. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day, Ashley.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gopal. And to all my role bearers, all the best. We are all set to start the first session, a session with prepared speeches. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce the first speaker. She is responsible for all the colorful posters that we see in our WhatsApp group. A content writer by profession, and her idea about celebrating an occasion is that there should be good food and a cozy little spot. Now I request Toastmaster Shivani to tell us the objectives of this speech. Over to you, Toastmaster Shivani.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ashley. Toastmaster Meenal is giving her level 1 project speech from the part Dynamic Leadership. The purpose of this project is for the member to learn or review basic research methods and to present a well-organized, well-researched speech on any topic. Over to you, Toastmaster Ashley.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shivani. And now request Toastmaster Meenal to do a sound check.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Visible?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay. Can you see the mess on the bed behind?
No, it looks good.
Perfect.
As Zoom Master, I would also like to add, if you can pin up the timer. Master Meenal. And if the timer could put the screen on full screen.
Can two people share screen at the same time? Can I share mine as well? No.
Oh, you'll be sharing your screen. Okay. Okay. Fine.
I'll put it up on my phone.
Okay. In that case, timer, if you have any other devices to indicate without the screen sharing, you could use that. Okay, since Toastmaster Meenal will be sharing the screen.
Okay, then I'll be flashing the cards. That's the green card.
Yeah, just a moment. Yes, could you show us?
Okay, so I'll be having the green card.
Yes.
The yellow card and the red card.
Thank you. So timer, we will request to keep your video on, and you will be pinned up by the speaker.
All right.
All the others can just drag the screen aside so that the presentation is a little smaller and the speaker's view is bigger. Thank you. Toastmaster of the day.
Toastmaster Meenal, acceptance, acceptance, Toastmaster Meenal.
Once upon a time, there lived a boy. He would put colors on his face and jump with joy. But soon, the very same colors became his disguise. And in order to be accepted, he had to defy. My dear friends and Toastmasters, the famous author of Animal Farm, George Orwell, once said, happiness can only exist in acceptance. As humans, we are trained to seek constant approvals and validation. We seek acceptance. But have you ever had the need to be accepted for who you are or what you dress like? Let's consider the first slide. If you could quickly tell me, what do you see in this slide? Maybe type in your answers in the chat box quickly. Okay. I've just got one. Okay. Emotions, happiness, entertainers. Okay, come on. Quick. Okay, so let me just go ahead and say, in the first image, if you see, it is a Halloween costume, a little obvious. In the second image, however, it's a lady dressed up as a clown. And the third image is a digitally enhanced piece of art. However, if I show you this slide, what is the first word that comes to your mind? And be honest with your answers, because they will impact my next slide. Okay? I've just got one answer. Come on, quick. Give me some answers. Come on. Damn. Okay. Wow. Gothic, weird, drag, bold. Okay. Okay. So these are the answers that I've received so far. You can still keep adding more. However, when I first showed this very pictures to my circle of friends, the response that I got was, whoa, that is bold of her to share. Some of them even roll their eyes as if silently saying, is she gone mad associating with them? And I kid you not, the kind of words that I heard from my friends are something like this. Yeah. For a very long time, I kept wondering, was I the only one who could just see a bunch of gorgeously elaborate makeup? I mean, I was kind of repulsed being associated with people who had such belittling mentality, whose tolerance levels were so low, and who had an inability to accept the unknown. It was really sad, because I don't know how to express, but I genuinely wanted to cut ties and run, but what I did instead is kept the rebellion side of me at bay and invested in reading up and understanding what the social stigma is all about. And the more and more that I read, the more and more fascinated that I was. That brings me to my next slide. The term is drag artist. Yes, one of us, in fact, identified with that very term. Drag basically is an art form, which means being dressed across gender. It can either be a man dressed femininely or a female dressed up as a macho. But at the end of the day, it is an art form, one that demands respect and acceptance. Okay, let me take you through some quick facts. It was first mentioned in the early 80s, say about 1870, where drag was identified as an acronym for men who dressed as women or girls in theatrical plays and performances. However, there's no hard evidence of when it became a revelation. But today, drag has become a freedom of expression, an art form that allows people to emote what they feel, a means and a medium of nonconformity, breaking the rules, defying stereotypes, and busting myths. But most important of all, drag is a persona that performers adorn on stage for a performance. Uh, a lot of us till date are under the social stigma of associating with the LGBTQ community. In fact, even a mention is a taboo, and being an ally is considered a sin by a lot of people till date. In fact, I was a little afraid to add in the gory stats of the kind of abuse that people would have to face just for being different. But I would urge each one of you to maybe look up on the internet and find out the number of cases where people have been beaten up in broad daylight just for being different. However, today I decided to focus on the positives. So allow me to introduce you to the man who popularized drag culture in India, Mr. Keshav Suri, the executive director at the Lalit Group. Married to Claire, his partner of 10 years, Mr. Suri has not only provided a platform for this art form to thrive on, but has also provided employment for a lot of people from the marginalized communities. The Kitisu chain of nightclubs initially began as destination clubs in metro cities of India, beginning from, I think, Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai, Chandigarh, and Kolkata, if I'm not mistaken. But today, that very emotion has evolved into something much larger. Today, it's become a cause that is socially supported for inclusivity towards everyone in the society. My journey with this whole concept of acceptance began a decade ago when a friend of mine identified himself as gay. But my true acceptance happened in 2018 at the Pride March in Mumbai. That was a moment when I realized it's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of to dress up the way you like. Friends, I have just one ask from you. If at all there is a moment when someone walks up to you and for a help or just to start up a conversation, just don't be mean. Show a little bit of acceptance because that attitude is going to change a lot of things. Just for some of you keen to know where it all began, what is the history? Here's a quick reference that I'd like to share. I know this exists because I recently gifted this to a friend of mine. And before I end my presentation, I have a happy memory that I'd like to leave you all with. I call it my pride moment. Meet India's biggest drag queen, Rani Kohinoor, aka Sushant Tivkekar. An exuberant personality crowned as Mr. Gay India in 2014, Sushant is an actor, an anchor, a performer, a singer, a social activist, oh yes, and a certified psychologist. He is the boy who made a place for himself in this world and in our hearts. Before I conclude and say sayonara, I'd like to reiterate your attitude of acceptance is what is going to make all the difference. Thank you.
Can we put our hands together for Toastmaster Meenal, and also let us give her a standing ovation as she completes her level 1. Let's stand, everyone.
Well done, Meenal. Well done.
Good job.
That was Toastmaster Meenal. Now coming up next, and next speaker is the reason why people get their jobs. She is a HR consultant who has celebrated her birthday just yesterday with a delicious dine and dance. And today, she comes with all that energy over here. She loves to see friendly faces around, and that's the reason why she has joined Toastmasters. That is Toastmaster Anisha Sequeira. I request Toastmaster Rishabh to tell us about the objectives of the speech.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. My speaker, Toastmaster Anisha, is presenting her icebreaker speech today. And the purpose of this project is for the member to introduce himself or herself to the club and learn the basic structure of public speaking. This is also this is her first speech in which she'll introduce herself to the club. So moving forward, could you please start? Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rishabh. I request Toastmaster Anisha to do a sound check.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great.
And you're visible too.
Okay.
Timer, can we have the timing cards, please? Toastmaster Anisha, can you see the timing cards?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I can see your white. Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. Toastmaster Anisha, my story. My story, Toastmaster Anisha.
What are we? But our stories. This quote by famous fiction writer James Patterson will be the underlying theme for today's speech. A very good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As part of today's speech, I would like to share a few stories about myself and hope that you'll all get to know me a little bit better at the end of it. If I had to describe myself in a few words, I would say I am firm, frank, and a feminist. I can be exuberant sometimes, but that is a story for another day. So the first adjective, firm. I would like to clarify, when I call myself firm, it does not mean that I am rigid. Just that once I make up my mind about something, it is almost impossible to change it. For example, you are looking at a Goan Catholic who is also a vegetarian by choice. And I have been one since I was 10 years old. Yes, I saw a goat being slaughtered at that age. And even though I did not witness the actual slaughtering because I had closed my eyes, just when the butcher was about to kill the goat, I can still hear those cries in my ears and then the utter silence. And since then, at a very young age, without realizing I'm making a lifestyle choice, I turned vegetarian. My second adjective is frank. This incident occurred when I was in third standard. I was a good student who always scored, decent marks. So the first time I failed a class test, it was like the world had ended for me. I was so disappointed in myself and was sure that my parents also would not be able to accept this failure. So as some of us, I'm sure many of us have done, I forged their signature and submitted it to the teacher as per protocol. Of course, I was caught by my parents, but the beautiful way they handled it gave me the courage to always be honest since then with them as well as anyone else. My mom sat me down and told me that it is okay to fail and falter, but it is not okay to lie or try to hide or deceive. The third adjective for today, feminist. So I did my engineering in mechanical engineering, where I was the only girl among 70 odd boys. In fact, in my first year, I was the only girl in the entire department. It took some time for my classmates to accept me. what happened was we had this workshop, a hand forging workshop, where we were supposed to take this metal rod and cut it and then turn it into a ring. However much I tried, I was just not able to saw that metal rod into a piece. And my classmates started making fun of me and told me, hey, you do not belong here because you're not able to do this. I felt very, I felt very lost and very put down. And my sir finally took pity on me. He picked up the rod and cut it for me. But I was so enraged at my classmates that I took that anger and I hammered that rod and I finished before everyone else in the class. So since that day, I haven't heard from my classmates at least that I don't belong there, and that has turned me into a feminist. So these are some of the characteristics, I spoke about today, and these aren't characteristics that I was born with. They are the choices that I made through the circumstances I was put through, and it has shaped me into who I am today. As Elvis Presley said, I hope I did not bore you with my life story. Thank you very much.
Yes, she deserves a clap louder than that. Can we all stand for Toastmaster Anisha?
That being her icebreaker. Good job.
Educational session. They say life stops when you stop learning. Our speaker, Toastmaster Runa, is from the YMCA club. She is a soft skills trainer. A Toastmaster since 2016, she has excelled in the leadership roles as she finds that Toastmasters gives you the environment to be which is very conducive to reach to her potential. Selected for the Toastmasters radio campaign. Toastmaster Runam will be presenting an education session titled The ABCDs of Speech Delivery. Over to you, Toastmaster Runa Menezes. Let's put our hands together for her first.
Thank you so much, MOD of the day, Toastmaster Ashley. You were too kind with that introduction. I'm really excited to be, presenting this educational session, the second one for Vasco Toastmasters Club months, and I always enjoy the energy that Vasco Toastmasters have. Now, I'm going to request TM Alviro to, just let me see the timing screen, or maybe I'll switch on my timer here because I will be sharing my screen. So I'll be sharing my screen. I've switched on my timer for 20 minutes, and you can also maybe remind me in the chat trail, all right? Now, I promised that I will share with you the ABCDs of speech delivery. Okay, that's what I'm going to talk about today. And before I start with sharing my presentation, I want you all with a raise of hands. So either you switch your video on or at least put the raise hand icon up to tell me if you miss the old, especially those who have experienced the old format of having physical face-to-face real-time meetings. How many of you miss the old format of Toastmasters meetings and wish that you could go back to meeting each other? Okay, I can see a couple of hands going up. Yes, a thumbs up there. Maybe a thumbs up or a raised hand icon will do. Okay, I'm quite encouraged to see that a lot of you, more than I expected, are quite happy with the online format. Yes, it has its own advantages. For instance, you can attend it from any part of the world, so to speak. And that is why we're having so many meetings today where, we have people from all clubs all over India, sometimes even from Dubai and other places, who attend our sessions. But my personal experience is that definitely miss that physical, real-time meeting, kind of meeting each one of you and mixing up the camaraderie. That is something that I really miss. And I miss the spontaneous reactions that come, at the end of a speech, during a speech, etc., when you're actually standing in front of an audience. So the way I see it, I would say that presenting a speech in the online format has become a little more challenging than it was earlier, in the sense that you cannot hear the laughter instantly. You cannot see people, responding to you or slapping their thighs when they find something funny, or even clapping for you immediately, right? So keeping all this in mind, I'm going to share with you, like I said, some things that could make your speech delivery more interesting. And this will of course apply not only for the offline usual format. I'll give you a couple of tips that will help you with this new online format that we find ourselves in. All right, so I hope you can see my screen. If by some chance you cannot, please let me know. It says the ABCDs of speech delivery. Now, one little disclaimer when I start, it's highly likely that all the points that I share with you are things that you have come across in the past. So there's probably nothing new with many of them. In that case, let it serve as a reminder for what are the things we need to do to add to our speech to make it more interesting. Okay. And if there's even one or two small little things that you find, you hadn't thought about or you haven't been using, let that be your takeaway for today. So let's see what this delivery man has in that little box. We're talking about speech delivery. Let's see what he has out there. And I would look at a speech, a well-structured speech, as a burger. Okay, so let us think of this burger as a well-structured speech. You have taken trouble to write it, you have your transitions there, it has the introduction, the body, the conclusion. The body probably consists of maybe 3 or 4 main points, and you draw it out very nicely. So your speech is complete. It's a good speech. But I would say, if you want a good speech to be a great speech, it needs a little more. And many of our speeches have these elements anyway. So, for instance, look at how much better and more appetizing this second burger looks. Okay. Why? Because it has, ABCD, it has so many other things in it. Look at that meaty little patty in the center there. Look at the sauces, the mustard sauce, etc., flowing out. And you will also see that it is not perfect. Okay, it is not perfectly well structured. It's not perfectly symmetrical. There are a few elements here and there which make it, in my opinion, more appetizing and more interesting. And of course, it's always an additional benefit when you get those extras, that French fries at the side. Okay, so I'm going to quickly take you through what that A, B, C, and D stands for, and of course, what the extras are. All right, now the A stands for attention. Okay, so a good speech would do something to grab the attention of the audience. Now, if you look at the picture there, that is a burger box, a container that contains a burger inside. But look at the packaging. Boom, burgers, okay, with an exclamation mark. You cannot miss that word there, okay? You cannot stop, or I mean, you would have to stop and take a second look at packaging like that. So sometimes the attention when it comes to our speech could be in the packaging. Sometimes it could be in what happens during our speech. So what are the elements that can give us that? Before I go on to that, let me start by quoting Michael Sthalberg. He says, "It's the surprises that tickle me most, the things you don't see coming." And I would say that about speeches. It is when there's something that you do not expect, when somebody says something and then the response, the last thing that comes after that, is unpredictable. That is where you really feel tickled, okay, and you find the speech interesting. So what are the elements that would go into giving that extra attention or into grabbing the attention of the audience? Sometimes it could be in an interesting speech title. And what happens with an interesting speech title is that, even before the speech is out, people are a little curious to know what the speech is about, even if it is something really simple. Something as simple as uh, 10 ways to do this, okay, or 3 ways to tie your shoelaces. Somehow just the way that the title is structured makes me interested in knowing what's so different about tying shoelace. All right. Another thing that could help is a startling fact. So you start your speech, or somewhere in the first few sentences or the first paragraph of your speech, you say something that startles people. Maybe something like, did you know that every year 5 million olive ridley turtle eggs are laid on so and so beach right here in Goa? Okay, so when you say something like that, it immediately draws the audience's attention. Of course, there's nothing like a story. And I would be happy to re-quote what Anisha said: what are we but our stories? I thought that was a great way to start her speech. So she did this. She grabbed our attention with that quote. Okay. A question is always something that, kind of engages the audience. Now, usually in a physical space, it is, you can actually see the audience and you can ask them, how many of you feel this way, or raise your hands if you have ever felt this, and you can get the response immediately. But even if it is in the online space, a question will get the audience thinking even if they do not respond. Okay, so you have grabbed the attention of the audience by doing any of these. Okay, and let me also mention, I thought Meenal's presentation had a lot of those interesting factors too. Think of the shock factor. Think of the pictures that she showed us, okay? Something that we did not expect to see. So that unpredictable element, that surprise element was definitely there. Her presentation was also very visual and colorful. I think the presentation itself grabbed our attention completely. So what does the B stand for? A was attention, B is body language, okay? And I think body language is an exceptionally important aspect of public speaking and of speech delivery. Unfortunately, these days we are in the online space where we can hardly see the entire frame of a person. There's hardly scope for use of too many body language gestures or cues or movement within the speech, something that we used to see a lot in physical Toastmaster meetings. Nevertheless, let's take a look at what are the 5 main aspects of body language, okay? And you probably already know this, but I'm revising it with you. The first aspect is posture, facial expression, eye contact, gestures, and physical touch. Let's look at them very quickly. So having a good posture, a straight back, standing up straight but relaxed, okay? Not too straight that you look rigid or like a disciplinarian. You probably can picture people who have such a straight back that they look unapproachable. So a straight back but a relaxed posture is extremely important, whether you're sitting or standing. Expressions on your face. So many of you will recognize this person in front of you as one of the world champions of public speaking, okay? Mohammed Katani. And look at that expression. It was something that very few people can actually imitate or capture, but he did it so well. You should watch the rest of the speech if you haven't already. So those expressions are such an important part of your speech delivery. Gestures. This is another speech that is, given by one of the finalists of the World Championship of Public Speaking. Look at how, see, we always thought that a speech was something that you stand and deliver, and maybe stand behind a lectern or a podium, and the rest of your body cannot be seen, and you just stand and you're very rigid. But we realized, at least for me, it was a revelation when I came to Toastmasters, that a speech was not about standing in one place. It was actually about, there was so much movement. You could actually move and use the stage space or the floor space. And I think it's really important to consciously build in some gestures into our speeches. Once again, because, in an online meeting, we only see this frame. Usually it is the head and some part of the shoulder, okay, maybe up to the waist. Those hand gestures have become even more important. Now, I noticed that TM Anisha used her fingers to talk about the three characteristics that would describe her. She said firm, frank, and feminist. So that was effective use of simple gestures. Okay, and I will show you another picture in a minute. So another aspect is eye contact. Now, this is another world champion of public speaking. I'm showing you these visuals to convince you that if those world champions can do that and give so much importance to it, we should too, okay? So good eye contact with the audience is an extremely important thing. And in a moment, I will come to what constitutes good eye contact in the online space. Then, of course, physical touch, something that I'm sure we are all missing. I sorely miss the Toastmasters handshake these days. It was something that started our speech and ended our speech, and it makes us feel so good. Now, I'm hoping that this comes back into our Toastmaster speeches soon, but you have seen the 5 main elements of body language, and there are more, okay? But these are the 5 most important ones, okay? So let me show you what open and positive body language looks like. So when it comes to body language, there is negative and undesirable body language, and there's open and positive body language. Now, open and positive body language would generally be having a good posture, shoulders and arms open, your palms showing when you speak, okay? And that's what I mean by, in the online space, at least have your hands and your palms showing in between when you are speaking. Of course, your gestures should kind of match with what you are saying. We don't want jazz hands. I want to tell you something. That doesn't look good, right? So, but some places, so like a thumbs up or counting on your fingers when you're giving points, that is something that you have to weave into your speech when you're delivering it online, especially. And let's come to good eye contact now. So I was talking about in the online space. Imagine, look at that little burger there, and imagine having to send that exact same burger through the screen. Would you be able to deliver it through the screen? No, I mean, it's really challenging. It's really difficult. So there are a few things that we need to keep in mind when it comes to delivering speeches online. Now, if you look at this picture, okay, I want you to look at the position of the eyes in the 4 frames that you see on that laptop screen. You will see that one seems to be looking downwards. I'm going to show it to you. One seems to be looking away, and they're looking away. Now, you know what? When I'm delivering or when I'm talking to you, if I look at my presentation all the time, my eyes will appear to you as if I'm looking downwards. If I look at the image of myself on my screen, I'm looking at myself right now, okay, the little video of myself, it appears as if I'm looking away. So in the online space, if you want to give the impression that you're making eye contact with your audience, you need to look into your camera no matter where it is. So if it's a mobile phone, that mobile phone camera you should be looking into, whether it is at the side of your screen or wherever, and a laptop or webcam would usually be on top. And don't be tempted to look at yourself too much. Just get used to the fact that you're looking fine, but look into the camera while speaking. And I find a lot of speakers fail to do this these days. You can't blame them. This is a new format for everyone, and it's something that we all need to learn. Okay. Also, like I said, since we're concentrating on mostly this part of our body, build in some very deliberate gestures, something that you may have to practice beforehand when you're delivering a speech. Let me also make another mention. Maybe I'm a bit old school, but I still think that it is a good idea, even if you're delivering a speech online, it is a good idea to stand back and deliver. Okay. I still find when I watch a speech made by Toastmasters, that a person who is standing up and delivering that speech. Like, let me give you an example. Toastmaster Varun, who won the humorous speech contest. Now, I didn't watch the finals, but I watched the division level. So I assume he stood for the finals too. Did you notice how much more effective his delivery was? Because he stood up while he delivered the speech. There was scope for a little bit of movement. There is always more energy when you are standing up when you deliver, and your voice tends to come out more clear, because when you sit down, it's like your stomach is scrunched up, your lungs and your diaphragm are a bit scrunched up. But if you were to stand, your voice would come out more clear and you will sound more grounded. Keep that in mind. Okay, so even with me now, since I am sharing a presentation, I have to sit next to my laptop. Otherwise, wherever I can, I stand and I deliver. And it's something that I would recommend you do if you feel comfortable with it, of course. Okay, the C stands for connection with the audience. So it's really important to build a connect with the audience. And there are many ways to do it. We saw it in the two speeches that we saw today. Even asking a question is, you're connecting with the audience because they are saying, yes, we feel the same way, at least some of them, all right? But another way, of course, is to tell a personal story. We saw lots of those in both the speeches that, came up today. Creating an emotional connect. Once again, both the speeches had it. So Meenal, kind of made us feel emotionally connected to the persons that she was talking about and how they feel when they're called drag queens and things like that. Okay, so that emotional connect is very important. Humor, if you can weave humor into your speech, nothing like it, because humor has a way. So storytelling is extremely important. It immediately grabs the attention of the audience, and humor has a way of making everyone in the audience relax, and listen to what you have to say. They let their guard down, they let their hair down when you say something humorous, and they are that much more receptive. All right, and of course, a story connects like nothing else. I did mention 5 senses. Let me explain that very quickly. If you were giving a speech, okay, and if you were talking about a childhood experience, and let's say, now I'm just going to stop sharing for a moment. So let's say you say, I heard my name called out. I walked onto the stage, I looked at the audience, and I was blank. Okay, so maybe you're talking about an experience of stage fear when you were a child. Now, the same thing, suppose you were to say something like this. I stood in the wings at the side of the stage. It was dark. There were so many noises behind me. I was distracted. I could hear the audience. I suddenly heard my name called out, not once, not twice, but thrice. I stumbled onto the stage. I stood in the center. The spotlight was on me. I looked at the audience. I could get a distinct smell of stinky socks. I blanked out. I couldn't remember a word of my poem. So you do something like this. What happens is you have described, you have, evoked your 5 senses. So for instance, you talked about the dark wings. You'll make people picture those things when you talk about it. You talked about the smelly socks that you could smell. So what happens is when the audience is listening to this, they have a chance to connect. They can almost smell those socks. They can feel your fear. They can, figure out that you're probably sweating and you're, nervous, etc. It's so much better to use your 5 senses, sense of smell, hearing, what you could hear, what you could feel, etc., when you are delivering a speech. Okay. All right. The D, of course, stands for delivery itself, delivery of the speech. Okay. And though this gentleman here has a very serious expression, it's a comical serious, and there's something nice about, that funny comical expression that he has on his face, which maybe, we need to think of what is the expression that we want to convey when we deliver our speech. So let me mention to you a couple of aspects of speech delivery that make your speech so much better. One is vocal variety. It's something we hear about a lot in Toastmasters. You all know what it is, but I find that a lot of us, me including, we do not actually take the trouble of practicing vocal variety when we are practicing our speech. We think it comes natural. It will come naturally when we are delivering the final speech. But one suggestion I would give you is, when you have your speech script in front of you, highlight parts that you have decided, okay, I have to say this in a high pitch, I have to be very low and very slow here. So highlight parts of your speech so that you consciously make an effort to weave in vocal variety into your speech. And of course, this is a topic of a completely different educational session, which I can't deal with in detail today. Another very important thing, when you have a speech which will make your delivery better, besides, of course, the body language, is having a conversational tone. So when you deliver the speech, it shouldn't sound like it's, coming from a lectern or a stage. It should sound conversational. You can just make out by the expression on this girl's face that she's saying something interesting. She's smiling, and I'm sure she sounds conversational. Another finalist at the World Championship of Public Speaking. And finally, we come to the extras. See, it's nice to get your burger, but you will always be happy with a few extra fries. And depending on your state of mind or your thirst factor at that point of time, a glass of chilled Coke would always be welcome, right? Now, that is what people feel when they get something they were not expecting from the speech. The audience feels that way. So what are some extras that you could, it's not compulsory, that you could add? A prop, just having a small prop, not for the entire duration of the speech, but for a few seconds, maybe the start of the speech or somewhere in between. If, of course, it inherently fits in your speech. Don't force it into the speech, but I've noticed it makes a big difference to have a prop, okay? Because it's very visual. People can immediately connect with what you're saying because they can see it. Of course, a costume, even if it is a small part of your costume. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this particular, site. This is Darren Tay, again, world champion of public speaking. And imagine what he chose for his costume: a white underwear, okay? If you haven't watched the speech, you should go and watch it and see what a courageous move it was and what a great move to use that prop. Okay, so now imagine if somebody can go on the stage in front of thousands of people watching live, and of course, you know that there's going to be a million watching later on YouTube and other channels, and wear a white underwear over your suit. Why can't we have a little costume for variety, for that surprise factor when we deliver a speech? So it could even be like, let's say, for instance, I decide to deliver a speech on road safety. What's to stop me from having a helmet on my head for the first 20 seconds of the speech? Wouldn't it make it more effective? Okay, so that would be just a small bit of costume, but it'll make a big difference. And of course, if you can add a little drama to your speech, something that you see in the humorous speech contest, for example, you can look at this picture and you know that he's imitating someone by when you look at him and that expression on his face. A little drama, having a conversation between two people, like role playing a conversation, imitating somebody else's voice, or imagining or pretending that you have forgotten something and pretending to rummage around. That little touch of drama would add some extra surprise factor to your speech. All right, with that, I'm done with my presentation per se, and I'm going to thank you. I hope you enjoyed the burger analogy. I hope it did not make you too hungry, and that you will forgive me for using this as an analogy for today's speech. All right, so I don't know if we are supposed to have a couple of questions or we wind up the session. So over to you, Toastmaster of the Day, TM Ashley.
Thank you, Toastmaster Runa. And we are a new club, and Let's put our hands together for Runa, Toastmaster Runa first. And I was just saying that we are a new club, and there are many of us who are writing our first speeches who are at level 1. And I'm sure next time we write our speech, we will think of the burger. And such a nice analogy. And I think every time I go to eat a burger, I will remember a speech. So thank you very much. And it was so nice of you to present using a burger, which is such a common thing that we all eat. So thank you, Toastmaster Runa. And we move on to the next session, and that is the table topics for the evening. Now, have you seen a celebration or a party without music? I'm sure music helps people laugh and be merry. In the same way, table topics in a Toastmasters meeting, we need table topics for everyone to lighten up and be exuberant. Now, to make this celebration more humorous, we have someone who gets paid to talk in class, a lecturer by profession who loves to celebrate by hanging out with his friends. Everybody, we have a DJ in the house. Here we go. DJ Clifford, over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, Ashley Fernandez. I know you would like to hear that all through the meeting, but we can't do that. But I'll give you an opportunity to dance. Music is life. That's why our hearts beat. A very good evening to our distinguished guests and my fellow Toastmasters. I'm DJ Clifford, the table topics master for the day. And my job is to keep all of you on your feet or at the tip of your seats. Music brings life to any party. Likewise, the table topics session breathes life into the Toastmasters meeting and is the exuberant part of the session. It brings a lot of things to the table: fun, excitement, and suspense as to what topic will be thrown at you. The table topic session gives the members an opportunity to develop the ability to speak off the cuff. It also gives those members who haven't had a speaking role at the meeting to get involved by volunteering to speak for 2 to 3 minutes. For today's table topic session, you will have not just an opportunity to speak, but to compete, like a tug of war or a face-off. And so to begin with, I would like to invite at least 2 volunteers to come forward. Come on. Very simple topics, very exciting. Any takers? Or maybe I will have to pick out some names. Siona, would you like to give a try? Toastmaster Siona and Toastmaster Tanvi. I guess Toastmaster Siona is not in the room. Toastmaster Tanvi, are you there?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. And okay, or maybe Toastmaster Vishal, would you like to try?
Hi, Clifford. Yes.
Okay, great. So the topic for you is, what kind of music would you prefer at a party? Slow country music or fast rock songs? So Vishal, you speak for slow country music, while Toastmaster Tanvi will speak for fast rock songs. We'll start with you, Vishal. Yeah.
Okay, start with me. Very good evening to my fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. Thank you, Toastmaster Clifford, for an exuberant topic. I prefer soft music, country music. It gives me an opportunity to get close to my close ones. It gives me the chance to look into someone else's eye and dance. It gives me a chance to sway her around and make her feel ecstatic with the movement. Overall, it gives me an opportunity to be the person I am. Over to you, Toastmaster Tanvi.
But what if you're not with the person you are in love with? And just say you're out with your guy friends. Won't rock music make more sense? I mean, it's a party. You're at the party after a long day and you want to relax, you want to wind down. So it has to be rock music. How can you relax with a slow country music?
Have you ever seen the amount of old country music people know? When they're drunk and sloshed, they start singing like crazy. The famous Rockford song, Yaro Tosti. It's not a rock song. It's a classic song which everyone loves to sing with their friends, without their friends. It might not be a rock song, but it reminds you of the memories you cherish, the silly mistakes you do. It need not be the person you are in love with, but it might be with the person you have shared your childhood with. They remind the funny stories, incidences, and that makes the day even more interesting.
Right? But it's a party. It should be it has to have an energy. It should be exuberant. I think it has to be rock music at any party. And
I feel
yeah,
it should be classical music.
no, slow music
Old
and
classic music.
not on a weekend.
With that, I would conclude that I prefer soft music over rock music.
Rock music any day. Over to you, table topic master.
Thank you, Vishal and Toastmaster Tanvi. After listening to both of you all, I think I've decided to have a mix of both. I think I could not be able to do without either of those kind of music. Thank you once again. Okay, any other volunteers? Okay, I'll pick out somebody to speak. Toastmaster Victoria.
Oops.
Yeah. So I've got a nice topic for you.
You have?
Yeah. Toast without a toastmaster. A toast without a toastmaster.
Oh, super topic. With the amount of, excuse me, you won't be able to see me. I'm having a little bit of a problem with my lights, which have gone off. Okay. A toast without a toastmaster would just not be effective. To make all the difference in the ABCDs of speech that Runa spoke about, we need a toastmaster. Otherwise, the speech will not be as exuberant, as effective as we would want it to be. The idea given is you require a punchline and you want to make a startling effect by giving a quote which will make everybody sit up. And this we learn only with the Toastmasters Club. Otherwise, our speech would be a toast for any occasion, would lose its punch. For a toast to be effective, you have to put in a lot of yourself into it. And at the same time, bring out the best in the people you're talking about, because your toast is always cheering or congratulating somebody else. And to do that, you require to put in a very short time everything you can get. And that's what you're learning with the Toastmasters. Over to you, Toastmaster Clifford. Oh, sorry. Was it Clifford?
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
Got it right.
Thank you, Toastmaster Victoria. Thank you. Another volunteer. Anybody willing to give a try? I think we have Toastmaster Marcia in the house, right? Toastmaster Marcia, would you like to speak on a table topics? Or anybody else? Hello?
Yeah, hi Clifford. I'd like to give it a try.
Who is that? Sorry, I didn't get you. Rishabh, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rishabh. Yeah. So the topic for you is life of the party.
Okay. So, have you guys? Can I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, have you guys ever wondered? You just walk into a party and it's all drab and dull, and everybody is sitting, sipping onto their juices, but the music is full on. Nobody's planning on doing anything, but there is this one person who brings in that dynamic, that feeling, that the person who's full of life, a person who brings everybody onto the dance floor. I'll give you one such incident which I've come across. It was starring me, basically. So it was my 12th standard farewell party, and everybody was sitting on their tables and the music was playing on. We'd booked this nice room, but nobody was doing anything. I walked in and I didn't know what to do, but I just went to everybody, dragged all of them to the floor, and I was the only one making a fool of myself, dancing like a crazy person. And later on, everybody just joined in. So being the heart of the party is very important, because it makes you feel, it gives you a sense of importance, because you feel wanted and you feel like without, you're like the beating soul of the party, and you have to be there every time. And being an extroverted person, you will be called all the time. So it's a really nice feeling. So anybody who would like to be the heart of the party or is the heart of the party is in for a lot of fun. Thank you.
Timer, Toastmaster Aliro, do we have time for another topic?
We have 3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay. Another volunteer. Anybody willing to give a try? Abrar, would you like to try? Toastmaster Abrar?
What if I say no? How about you choose a guest?
Not to
How about you choose a guest?
Are there any guests in the house? I don't know.
As a Zoom master, I would like to confirm that we had a dropout of the non-Toastmaster guest. And since Toastmaster Abrar has agreed to, you may go ahead with it.
Yeah. So, Abrar, your topic is presence in presence only. Presence in presence only. You might have seen that quote at the end of invitation cards, right?
No, I have not. Clifford, I was in the middle of something. Could you just give it to someone else?
No, I'll give you another topic probably.
Okay.
Okay. Which is better, a house party or a party at a restaurant? Which is better, a house party or a party at a restaurant?
Okay. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and my dear guests. Oh, there are no guests. Anyways, today we are hosting a house party, and I want you all to wear colorful outfits and show up at my house. And it's going to be fun because restaurants are boring, and I think we will have to follow all the precautions for COVID. And at my house, we have already got the vaccine because Gopal was gifted during his birthday, if you all remember. So I have got the vaccine. We can come you all can come at my place and we can have a ton of fun. So leave all of that. What I want to tell you is I enjoy house parties. I think restaurant parties are boring because in case if you choose a restaurant, most of the time you don't really find a good place to, after you are a little tipsy, you can go and sit somewhere. But no, when you're at a house, you can just move around and have fun. That's it. I think I've qualified and thank you very much.
Well done, Toastmaster, bro. Well done. Thank you. That's all from me this evening. DJ Clifford signing out. Over to you, the host of this wonderful celebration, Toastmaster of the Day, Ashley Fernandez. Over to you.
Thank you, DJ Clifford. And now we shall have the vote. I thought Clifford would do the vote, but I think he's busy with his music. So, timer, has everyone qualified?
Yes, all the table topics have been qualified.
Okay. Can we now launch the poll, please, Zoom Master?
Yes. Participants, please vote for the best table topics speaker. And we're going to stop the vote in 5 seconds. If you haven't voted, please do it. And there you go. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're done.
Thank you, Zoom Master, Toastmaster Anthony. And thank you, DJ Clifford, for having such a lovely session of table topics. I was glad that I could hear Ma'am Vicky Dilema, my teacher. After a long time, I heard her voice. And now, moving on to our evaluation, it is said that continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection. Our general evaluator is someone who has a perfect sense of humor. And you could see that the moment he arrived in the room, everyone was laughing and having a good time. He also has a cool head when it comes to challenging situations. He is someone who young Toastmasters like me would love to look up to. And I'm glad that I share my name along with him. And his idea about a celebration is that he would love to celebrate with his beloved family. Help me welcome Toastmaster Ashley. Let's put our hands together. Over to
Thank
you,
you very
Toastmaster
much,
Ashley.
TMOD Ashley. So you're sandwiched between two Ashleys, literally. And we are going into the evaluation section, and the Toastmasters concept of evaluation is the sandwich method. So what better way to celebrate Toastmasters and this celebratory, exuberant meeting with a sandwich between two Ashleys. But talking about evaluations, very quickly, let's talk about why evaluations is such an important part of the meeting. Believe me, if there is one skill that you learn in Toastmasters that is useful in real life, it is evaluations. It is not speaking. It is not table topics. Those are good because they're good intellectual exercises. But how many of y'all want to become a professional speaker? How many of y'all want to be stand-up comedians for using table topics? But every one of y'all are going to be in a meeting. Every one of y'all are going to be evaluated and will evaluate people, whether it's your kids, your wife. Don't do that, but you need to do evaluations. So this is a great place where you learn the most skills that are useful forever. I call upon our first evaluator to evaluate Toastmaster Meenal's speech, Toastmaster Shivani.
Thank you, General Evaluator Ashley. Uh, Toastmaster Meenal, when I heard your title acceptance, I was super excited to know what it will be about. Because the word acceptance itself, we have so much to learn from that word. And you explained the topic beautifully in your speech. Firstly, I like the fact that you selected a brief topic and you explained that very beautifully. Secondly, you kept the audience hooked from the first word itself. When you started telling, you started by saying once upon a time, and that was enough. That was enough to catch our attention. Further, you kept the engagement going by keeping us on hooked with your colorful PPT screen. The pictures, the vagueness in the pictures, the abstract pictures made us think and actually introspect on our own thoughts. Throughout the speech, you did appear at ease with the audience. Also, your transitions were very smooth. Initially, you started with the story, then you moved to the main topic of acceptance. Then, you also spoke about the bad experience which you have had. Further, you went ahead and spoke on the main topic, which was the drag artist, and you ended the speech on a positive note. Uh, One thing which I clearly liked about you and your speech is that most of your emotions were conveyed by your facial expressions. And we could actually feel those facial expressions. To mention, when you were sharing the experience with your friends, the disappointing experience which you had, and I could really see that on your face when you said this line, something, it is really sad. It was really sad. And I could just feel that from your facial expressions. Your facial expression gave more energy to your speech. But if I have to give you one recommendation, it would be to add a bit more of vocal variety in your speech. For example, when you spoke about how exciting it was for you when you met Sushant, the drag artist, if we could see that excitement in your vocal variety, it would make it more interesting and more energetic. That phase of that part when you were explaining about meeting a drag artist. Second recommendation would be using your screen space wisely. Effective use of hand gestures. Apart from this, your speech was well researched, well articulated. You were clear in delivering your message. You were exuberant throughout the speech. I really look forward to hearing more speeches from you. And of course, I look forward to meeting you in person. All the best to you. Over to you, General Evaluator Ashley.
Thank you very much, Shivani. I call on the next evaluator, Toastmaster Rishabh.
Thank you, General Evaluator. So my speaker, Toastmaster Anisha. Your speech title was very simple and to the point, so we knew what we should be expecting. That was a good part. You started off with the line, "What are we but our stories?" I really liked how you started off because that drifted me to a short story of my own life, and I'm very sure that everybody else must have been drifted too. So we could connect more because of the way you started your speech. Now, you had a lot of positives in your speech. throughout your speech, you made sure that you kept eye contact with the audience, which was a good part, which showed confidence. There, you spoke very clearly so that we could understand what you're saying. Your emotions were good when you spoke about the goat, your experience of the goat being slaughtered. We could actually feel that sadness or that kind of horrifying past experience because I've felt that too. So I could relate a lot more with you. Normally, there are three parts of the speech, and you used a very good way. You used the three F's, that was firm, frank, and feminine. And you brought about different experiences to show what you meant. I really like that your experience of you failing class 3 was, I shouldn't say comical, but it was nice. So when you look back, it's something fun and you can laugh at it. So I like that part too. Now, coming on to the things that you could work in your speech, first thing, you should normally stand and deliver a speech. So instead of sitting down, it's better that you stand and then deliver. The second thing, you could use you used your fingers for mentioning the three F's, but other than that, you could use more gestures while speaking. uh, there you could have added expressions. So when maybe when you were talking about your engineering experience, when everybody laughed at you or something, maybe if you could have showed it in your expression, you being angry, or you having you trying to express that you want to come out and show them that you can do much better and they're underestimating you. Maybe you could have added a little more expression that would have added gravitas to your speech. You could speak a little slower, so that the audience gets time to process everything that you're saying. And at the end, add a few pauses during your speech, like when you mentioned the goat being slaughtered, maybe you could have added a pause after that. Or when you failed class 3 and you forged your parents signature and your parents found out, maybe you could have added a pause for us to feel scared about what is going to happen next. So something like that. Other than that, overall your speech was very good, and I really look forward to hearing more of you. Thank you.
Thank you, uh, Toastmaster Rishabh. Both are evaluators, very, very exuberant. And so now let's take the exuberance up to the next level and let's get the reports from the three role bearers, I think he called them. Can we have the grammarian's report, Toastmaster Anthony? Please show some exuberance while giving that report.
Thank you. Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Ashley Lobo. Now, I was quite overwhelmed with the energy, the exuberance that the meeting had throughout. And to start with my report, firstly, I would like to mention or rather acknowledge the very good usage of the word of the day by Toastmaster Ashley Fernandez, Toastmaster Anisha, Toastmaster Clifford, Toastmaster Vishal, Toastmaster Tanvi, Toastmaster Victoria, DTM Ashley Lobo, and Toastmaster Shivani Sufam. Now, when a new word is introduced, it can be made part of your vocabulary only if you use it. And initially, one has to make conscious effort of doing it. And you have tried and you've done it. All the others, I'm sure you got carried away with the energy and with what the speakers were saying or with what you had to say. Now, this meeting had very good usage of language, or what would consist, or what a good language would consist rather. Firstly, I would like to highlight that there were good uses, there were a lot of figures of speech which were used. Now, there was comparison used. Comparison when we had Toastmaster Gopal, when he was explaining his role, he said in a similar way. So this transition or this comparison when he was making, that was excellent. Toastmaster Anisha, like the world had ended for me. The like, okay, when you are, showing the comparison there. At the same time, there were others and I've taken down a lot of notes and I cannot really find that. But yes, a lot of comparison there. At the same time, alliteration and rhyming scheme. And I really love that because it brings life. It brings life to the delivery of the content, especially when Toastmaster Anisha mentioned about choices through the circumstances, the C's which gets repeated, or even when she spoke about firm, frank, and feminist, which again falls into alliteration and repetition to uh, you know to highlight what she's saying. Toastmaster Meenal with her rhyming scheme, the beautiful ABAB rhyming scheme that we had, the boy joy. Yes, so wonderful, good job there. Next, I would also like to highlight the use of juxtaposition that Toastmaster Anisha used when it was about when she showed the contrast between failure and then lying. So the two the content there. Also, when she spoke about going Catholic and being a vegetarian, so it was beautifully done. There. It's something that we generally don't associate with. Following that, metaphors and allegories used by not allegories, sorry, analogies used by Toastmaster Runa. She gave me a run for the money. I had a lot of things to note down when she was speaking. Uh, Another thing, the parts of speech that were used, wonderful use of adjectives. I call them magic of A's, adjectives and adverbs. They bring a lot of life to the content that you speak. When Toastmaster Ashley, the TMOD, spoke about friendly faces and conducive, or when belittling mentality is what Toastmaster Meenal brought up, and Toastmaster Runa, when she spoke of the meaty patty or appetizing and unpredictable jazz hands, wonderful job there. We also had Toastmaster Vishal, who spoke about aesthetic cheering. That's by Toastmaster Victoria. And again, when it comes to repetition, Toastmaster Rishabh, Rabindal, good job there. Exclamation, a beautiful line used by Toastmaster Runa when she says, "You cannot miss that word." Generally, an exclamation, we are used to just with one word, but here she uses a phrase. Good job there. When it comes to vocabulary and words, oh my God, I have a whole list here. But to mention a few, we had uh, we had Toastmaster Meenal spoke about adorn, reiterate. Uh, then yes, Toastmaster Runa appetizing, Toastmaster Clifford bring to the table, and cheering, congratulating again. Beautifully vagueness, Toastmaster Shivani, introspect, Rishabh Avatar, good job there. And before I come to the end, Toastmaster Clifford also used a beautiful transition likewise. The transitions become very important when you're going from one idea to another. However, there were a few challenges that I noticed. First one, there was a Toastmaster who said felt very lost. Maybe you can omit the very there. Presenting education session, how about delivering an education session? Okay. When it comes to get close to closed ones, again, there is a repetition there. This repetition doesn't really add to the beauty of the sentence construction. How about saying get close to your dear ones? And again, whenever you have a single subject, the verb, when it's conjugated, it becomes makes. For example, a particular kind of music makes sense, not make sense, because it is singular. Also, how about using grabber attention instead of catcher attention? And last but not the least, how about saying ensure instead of saying make sure or made sure every time? This would definitely elevate our language, which we're definitely good at, and it will take it to a different level. Again, congratulations to all of you for the wonderful use. And for the others who haven't spoken about, it's not that I didn't notice. It was simply that there was simplicity in the way you delivered, and hence I really did not find any problems with it. Okay, so thank you so much. Continue celebrating the camaraderie that was Runa, something that she's used again. And over to you, General Evaluator DTM Ashley Lobo.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Anthony. The next role player that I'd like to call on to get a report, but before I do that, can I ask the timer, make sure that you time all the role player reports as well. Uh, Toastmaster Gopal, the R counter report.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are. You're visible.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ashley. I thoroughly enjoyed this meeting. In fact, my role at Counter is to present what does not go well. It's a bit strange, but I have to do that. So, Toastmaster Ashley, he conducted the meeting very well as a Toastmaster of the day, but there were few repetitive words. One word he used it repeatedly is and. Several times in his speech, this word repeated. Toastmaster Beeran, your speech was absolutely amazing and it's exuberant. There was a message in that. However, there were few repetitive words. You used the word it was a couple of times, and then there's a filler word for a couple of times. Toastmaster Anisha, there were repetitive words in your speech. I would say it repeated for twice. It repeated 3 times. Toastmaster Runa, I learned a lot from your speech. There is one word which repeated several times in your speech. It is It repeated for as many as 37 times. Toastmaster Vishal, there were long pauses in your speech, and also there were few repetitive words. So, the word "the" you repeated for a couple of times. Toastmaster Rishabh, there were repetitive words in your speech. One word which repeated is like. Toastmaster Abrar, there were repeated words repeated for a couple of times. General Evaluator Shivani, speech evaluator, there were repeated words, ended, and filler word for a couple of times. And our grammarian for the day, Ashley. Sorry. A grammarian, there is a repetitive word, a couple of times. So these are some of the things which I have noted. However, I thoroughly enjoyed this session and I learned a lot out of this session. Over to General Evaluator Ashley Lobo.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gopal. And now can we get the timers report from Toastmaster Alito, right? Aliro, sorry.
Yeah, good evening. So the meeting started well on time. That was 7 p.m. We were delayed somewhere, but anyways, we were finishing it on time too. So starting with the prepared speeches, we had Toastmaster Minal Bale, who I guess spoke for 9 minutes and 24 seconds. Then we have Toastmaster Anisha Siquera, who spoke for 4 minutes 22 seconds. And the evaluators, Toastmaster Shivani Kenny, she spoke for 3 minutes 5 seconds, and Toastmaster Rishabh spoke for 3 minutes 9 seconds. The education session was conducted by Toastmaster Runa Menezes, and she spoke for 25.29 seconds. Coming to the table topics, both TM Vishal and Tanvi, by combining the time, comes to 2 minutes and 33 seconds. Then Toastmaster Victoria spoke for 1 minute 24 seconds. Toastmaster Rishabh spoke for 1 minute 24 seconds too. And Toastmaster Abrar qualified by 1 minute and 9 seconds. And then we had the counter who spoke for Toastmaster Gopal, who spoke for 2 minutes and 58 seconds. And the grammarian, sorry, I didn't time you, but I'm pretty sure you didn't stop because I didn't flag the colors, but I guess you spoke for more than 5 minutes. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aliro. Can you do me a favor, please? Make sure you time me. Otherwise, I will break everyone's record today. You'll be here
Yeah,
next
sure.
Sunday. So let me give a general evaluation of the meeting. Uh, there are some things which are really good and some couple of things that can be improved just a little bit. The thing I really liked a lot about this meeting was everything that happened prior to the meeting. This is one club where 2 or 3 best practices seem to be happening. Uh, I was contacted to be the general evaluator, and people kept following up. Are you sure you can do it? Then they sent me the link. Today I got a call again saying, can you make, if you've not got the link, we'll send it to you again. What I really liked about it, we are a communications club, Toastmasters, but this is the only club where people actually call up on the phone and talk and say, are you sure you've got the link? Will you be on the call, on the meeting? Very, very good practice at Vasco. I wish other clubs would do it, including my own. The other thing I really liked is the agenda was sent to me well in advance because I'm the GE. And then the agenda, of course, changes happen. The agenda was changed and that was sent out well in time. Excellent job. Now, as the GE, it's my job to talk about the evaluators, the role players, and then the meeting as a whole. So let's talk about the evaluators. Evaluations were pretty good, no question about it. Shivani, you mentioned transitions, but you didn't give an example of a transition. You talked about continuation because it was 3 or 4 aspects of the same topic. You didn't talk about the transition from one aspect to the other. If I could suggest one thing that would really make your evaluations a lot better, instead of saying, but if, because when you say, but, everything that you said so well before that, you described all the good stuff in the speech so well. And when you said, but, it makes everyone step back a little bit. Use a word like and. And if you just try doing these 2 things, your speech would be better. The evaluation would be the same, but it would be a lot more positive. The thing I did like about both the evaluators, you started with all the good parts of the speech, you gave suggestions, and then you ended on a nice note. Toastmaster Rishabh, the one thing that I would tell you as an evaluator, do not give, I counted 4 suggestions. No speaker I know can work on 4 suggestions immediately, and definitely not someone giving their first speech. Pick the most important of those 4 and tell them just those. Don't worry about the rest. They are going to give another speech. You can always tell them, or you can tell them offline after a week. 4 things no one can fix, so just give them 2. I did mention to the timer, please make sure that you'll time every one of the role players as well. The grammarian's report, very comprehensive. Table topics were very interesting. All I could suggest to the club and to any future table topics master, you pick a Toastmaster to give table topics. Don't ask for people to volunteer. You can maybe ask people to volunteer. If they don't, you just say you are going to speak. As a Toastmaster, you should be able to get up and give a table topic. As a guest who's not a Toastmaster, you can let them off. But do it with confidence. Say, no, I'm picking you. You're a Toastmaster. Please do it. Otherwise, it was run very well. The R counter, you need to start, as well as the grammarian. Of course, the grammarian is the president. The R counter needs, and any role player needs to start their job from the start of the meeting. And why do I say this? Because I actually was counting the number of R's and ums when Anthony started the meeting, and there were a lot of them. And I will give them to him later. But that is your job as the R counter. It doesn't start when the speakers start, when the role players are giving their description of their roles, when the president opens the meeting, when the sergeant at arms opens his meeting. The other really nice thing I saw in this meeting was almost everyone was using a script or kept to a script. So there was very little hesitancy when people were describing their roles, very little hesitancy by the TMOD. He had a script. I guess he is a professional master of ceremonies, so he knows how important a script is. So he was not fumbling. And that shows professionalism. And I hope that carries over to the other members of the club and to other clubs within Goa, because that is something that I don't see in most clubs. It was amazing to see it over here. So I only have one last comment to make. Role players, grammarian report, he didn't do it. The R counter did do it. Do not comment on the quality of the speeches. The only people who can comment on the quality of the speeches are the evaluators. Even the general evaluator cannot comment and say, Meenal's speech was good. That was the evaluator's job. So if we keep it that way, it would be a lot nicer. I know it's very tempting when they're good speeches to say, oh, your speech was great. You say that offline, not as part of your report. And with that, I hand the meeting right back to the president. I hope I covered all the, there was one thing I did need to cover. I'm sorry, Mr. President. There was only one thing. If a speaker, especially in an online meeting, needs to display stuff like Meenal needed to, please, all the speakers, let your TMOD and your everyone else know that you need to do it so they can make plans for the timer cards. Okay, over to you, President.
Thank you, General Evaluator DTM Ashley. All these suggestions are well taken, and we're glad we could get them from you, who was not just senior but well experienced into putting clubs together and running them the way you generally do with really, really nice. Okay, so thank you so much. And now is the time that we will have the votings. So I am going to launch the poll for the best speech evaluator. You will have around 10 seconds to vote for the best speech evaluator. There you go. Kindly vote for the best speech evaluator. Yes, thank you so much. That was the vote for the best speech evaluator. Now we will have the vote for the best role player. Now you will have to vote for the best major role player, that is Toastmaster of the day, either Toastmaster Ashley Fernandez. We had Table Topics Master Toastmaster Clifford, General Evaluator DTM Ashley Lobo, Table Topics Evaluator Toastmaster Abrar Sayed. And then in the minor roles, we had Toastmaster Aliro, who was the timer. Our counter was Toastmaster Gopal, and the grammarian was Toastmaster Anthony. Here we launch the poll. We vote for the best major and minor role player. Well, thank you very much. And we have had the voting done. Well, now before we go to the awards, I would like to hear from our guests who are with us throughout. To start with, may I request our guest, Mr. Satish Kumar, who was with us right from the start. I think there was an issue, he dropped out, but he's back with us. Mr. Satish Kumar, may I request you to unmute yourself and put your video on? We would really like to hear from you now. Well, by the time he does that, may I also request our guest Toastmasters who are with us? Some have spoken, I mean, mostly everybody has spoken, but may I request Toastmaster Runa to tell us how she felt about the meeting?
Thank you, President Anthony. I thoroughly enjoyed the meeting, like I said before, as I always do when it comes to the Vasco Club. As you said, it's a very young and vibrant club, and the energy in the club is palpable. Even DTM Ashley said, some of the things that you do to ensure that the meeting goes on well is, really commendable, something that others should also follow. I also have to mention that Toastmaster Vishal got in touch with me more than a month and a half back for this educational session. So, that's amazing that I got so much preparation time and I was prepared for it. Kudos to you. Thank you. Over to you, President.
Thank you, Toastmaster Runa. May also request a guest Toastmaster, Victoria, if she could tell us about her experience with the Vasco in a line or two. Toastmaster Victoria? By the, yes.
There's a lot of problem with my laptop today, but I think you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a very good experience. And being Vasco, and I'm Vasco, I'm very proud of you guys. Super, super job. I only wish I could get a lot of more people to join you all. You are doing a great job and giving so much confidence to so many people. Thank you for asking me to give my views. I loved it.
Thank you so much. We're glad. Thank you, guest Toastmaster Victoria. We also had with us Toastmaster Marcy. Toastmaster Marcia, we could unmute. Yes. And she also has something to tell us. So.
Yeah. Good evening, Toastmasters and no guests, okay. And I'm sorry I had to leave the meeting in between for some time and I came back a little late, but I heard the speeches. I have a message from the ICG Toastmasters Club. See, Christmas is another few days, 21 days, and we are having a Christmas meeting on the 19th, and all of you are invited. So please mark your calendars. 19th December is our Christmas meeting. And we hope all of you all will make time to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Marcy. I am not sure if another Toastmaster that we had, a guest Toastmaster Tanvi was with us, which is not here. I also acknowledge DTM Ashley, who was with us throughout, and he's given us evaluation. Please write more. I mean, we really want to learn. And finally, if we could just hear our guest who was with us, soon to be Toastmaster Satish, if I may be optimistic about it.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
And luckily, probably I was trying to get in touch for a long time, since I joined the session, and then the network was so bad that I could not get clearly see the presentation today, whatever was done. But at the end, I think the network has supported me to at least see the evaluations and all the things that what actually happened. And I'm very, very much happy to be a part of this today's session, because I got to know that even in Vasco, we have such a lovely team who is a part of Toastmasters and are doing a wonderful job. And I was very happy to speak to Abrar, and I'd like to thank him to give me an opportunity to join the session today. And thankful very much that being a part of this session today, I learned many things, because the way that the positive vibes that I was getting from everybody, the way they were confidently they were speaking, you all guys were speaking so confidently, I was so happy. Yes, this is the place where actually I wanted to be.
Yes, great.
Yes. Yeah, and I think probably I will learn much more things over here rather than spending time outside.
Right. And Vasco Toastmaster Club is open to you. I mean, you can Abrar will get in touch with you to be a part of Vasco, and through the Vasco Toastmaster Club, you will have an access to all the wonderful clubs that we have in Goa.
Okay? Sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes. And now this is the time to announce the awards. Now, definitely, we have had wonderful speeches and role players who have done this job extremely well. To start with, I would like to announce that when it comes to the best speaker prepared speeches, we did not have an award today, simply because having done or having delivered a table, sorry, an icebreaker is an achievement in itself, coming out of the comfort zone and being part or facing the audience. So I would like to congratulate Toastmaster Anisha for having delivered her icebreaker. A round of applause, if you may. Please put your hands together, unmute. At the same time, I would like to appreciate and congratulate Toastmaster Meenal for completing a level 1. That again is a milestone. And now, the table topics speakers that we have had. The best table topic speaker is being voted to Toastmaster Rishabh. Congratulations. Please unmute yourselves and clap. Okay, that will really help. The best speech evaluator was Toastmaster Shivani. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. The best major role player we had, or is being voted and chosen, that's Toastmaster Ashley Fernandez. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Well, and the minor role player, which is not so important, is Toastmaster Anthony. It feels weird. But yes, we had wonderful role delivered and speeches. I wholeheartedly thank the guest Toastmasters who have come and been a part of this session. Thank you, DTM Ashley. Thank you, Runa. Thank you, Marcy. Thank you. We had Aniket who had joined as well. I really appreciate all the others. If I missed you, then maybe you are part of the club. Who knows? Okay. Before we end, before I adjourn, our next meeting is on 12th of December. Okay. And so our VPN will get in touch with you. I will get in touch with you for rules and the other things. And before we move, before I adjourn,
12th of December?
I'm sorry, 18th of December.
Yes.
He's my conscious keeper sometimes. Okay. So yes, let's have a photograph before we go ahead. Yes. Can we all put on our videos? Yes. Great. So Satish, if you could just put on a video. Yes. And all the thumbs up, if you may. So this is not sponsored by any company. Okay. There we go. 3, 2, and 1. We have screenshot taken. Well, let's go for another one, please. Yeah. This time you can make, I mean, we made W for the division, but this time maybe a V somehow for Vasco or however you wanted V, art, anything. Yes. Thank you so much. 3, 2, and 1. Thank you so much. Thank you for that wonderful photograph. Thank you for the smiling faces. Continue the celebration for the reasons that you will have many to come. And with this, I officially adjourn today's meeting. Thank you very much.